My name is Saúl Díaz. First of all, wow, it's almost full house. Thank you very much for coming to hear a little about Firebase today. Before starting, who was on the previous talk of Jorge Castillo about annotations? And in the before one with Iñaki on Espresso? Well, they were really great talks, but they were kind of, really mindful to make you think, very technical. And now we are going to do a little more relaxed session talking about Firebase, but not the usual talk you will hear about Firebase, probably on Google Firebase Summit Day. They're doing it around Europe. There was one a few days ago in Spain, and I heard there was one in Poland. I'm not sure if it was the last week or it's about to come. And for one last thing, who is an Android developer here? Has a technical profile? Almost all of them. Well, like I said, my name is Saúl Díaz, and I'm one of yours. I'm an Android developer from Spain. I currently work for Chiquísimo. Chiquísimo is a small company whose app is aimed at women to inspire them on helping them what to wear every morning, right? So why an Android developer is going to talk about business and not about something technical for a change? Well, I love small companies like Chiquísimo because it allows me to learn other disciplines rather than the pure technical profile. And probably many of you have some ideas on Google Play transformed into an app, or you are planning to release something because you have this cool app you want to release, and you are probably wanting to make some profit of your work. Rather it's a freemium app, or it is ad-based, or it is basically a paid application you are interested on run once you want to make a profit of it. It is no longer an app, it is a business. And what are the product life cycle of any business application? Well, it's simplified. It's just four. First, you have an idea and you develop the idea, then you launch it. And if you have a pure technical profile, what comes after it? Okay, what happens when I have released my app or my new feature into Google Play or Apple App Store, right? Then you have to know if your magnificent idea is working or not. And in this case, you need to know the tools on how to monitor if it's actually working, and if it's not, or even if it's working, but you think you can improve the performance of your product, then you will need to study how to optimize it. Then you will go back to the drawing board and develop the new optimizations, release them, monitor again, optimize, rinse, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat. And where does Firebase fit into all of this? Firebase, as many of you know, it's a complete transversal set of tools which Google released on Google I/O this year, which encompasses all of the product life, rather from developing your idea to make it grow to earn some money. And it's a really complete set of tools. Are still on developing, obviously. And the usual talk you will hear about Firebase is talking about how the real-time database, which was from the very beginning, even before Google bought Firebase, how the new authentication framework and how the storage can help you build really fast application with completely serverless all by yourself. And it is true. Actually, one of the organizers was showing me that the checking application for this event is done in Firebase, and it took just a week. And it is awesome, but Firebase has a lot more to offer. And in this talk, we are going to cover a few of the tools that help you improve your product, improve your business, and make it grow. Which ones? Those 6. Why? Because if we were to talk to everything at once, I will spend the rest of the evening here talking about everything on Firebase, and we have a little limited time. So we are focused on tools that help you monitor your application and your product once you release it on the wild, which is analytics, which is also the core of Firebase, crash reporting. Then I will see you how you can optimize your solutions by using remote config. And finally, some tools Firebase has to let your application and your product grow. Let's start with analytics. Analytics, it's like I said, it's the core of all tools Firebase has. It runs mostly on the back of your application, and its mission is to allow you to understand how the processes you devise for your product work. A little of history. Why there's a new analytics system if there was already the classical Google Analytics? Let's delve a little into their history. Back in the mid 2000, all the business. So imagine how much it has changed since that date. In the mid 2000s, all the businesses in the world were, the tech businesses in the world were web-based. There was no mobile, there was no handheld devices, everything was just on the web. And Google devised a tool to help those people running the businesses understand if their business were successful or not. And the way Google helped that through Google Analytics was on the page view. The measure of success was measured on how much time did they spend on their sites, and which were the order of the page views they visited. But when in 2008 iPhone and Android came to life and changed completely the paradigm up to that point, we saw that Google Analytics was not enough, because page views are not the correct way to measure the success of an application or a product. And they made some sneaky patches to make it work, but in the end, it was not enough. And in the meanwhile, before releasing Firebase Analytics, another competitors, of course, like Mixpanel, for instance, made some event-based analytics, like Firebase Analytics is now. Why an event? Because in mobile, it's not about the screens you visit and how long you spend time in your app, because actually the attention span of a user in mobile is really short. It's like 10 seconds. And it makes no sense, but it makes sense which actions do they perform on your applications. If they like a lot of stuff, if they comment on a lot of posts, if they follow a lot of people, those are the things that actually measure the success or the failure of an application as of today. So now we have Firebase Analytics, which is event-based, versus Google Analytics, which is page view based. I think in the coming future, they are going to deprecate Google Analytics, at least for mobile, and they will deprecate it completely, or they will merge it with Firebase Analytics. But Firebase Analytics has something that their competitors doesn't have, and is that it is completely integrated into the system. And these are a ton of events that Firebase Analytics gives you for free, just for the sake of integrating it. I'm not going to show how to integrate any of these tools, because if you have checked their webpage, the tutorials are really, really simple code, and I think it's not worth to clog the session by showing that code. But just for installing analytics, you have a lot of events which are measured to determine if your users are using your app or not. And some of them that other competitors, like I said, like Flurry or Mixpanel or Casetics Answer cannot get. Why? Because Google is making Firebase analytics as well as Android. So you know when your app throws an exception, or when the application is uninstalled, when the application is updated, when you can open a link in the application, when you share the content. And this is something that competitors will have very, very difficult to replicate, because, like I said, everything is part of the same system, and Google is taking advantage for this. But what are the things that you, as developers, should know about the app you develop as a freelance, as your own app, or as a contractor, or as another people? Well, while the core of the smallest piece of information that analytics works with is the event. An event is just a named occurrence in time, which are certain properties that you put. But everything it's surrounded by what they call audiences. Audiences are just slices of your users. You can filter. I wish I could show you a little demo on how the dashboard works, but the Wi-Fi is not very good, and we might run out of time. Maybe later, if the Wi-Fi is working fine and we have some time, maybe I can show you how to define audiences. But you can define audiences by many factors. You can target audiences by country, age. There's a lot of information which I believe that comes from AdMob, from the profile that Google already has about you, and he knows if you are a male or female. He knows your interests. He knows where you live. I mean, country, region. More or less, it can determine your age. But also, you can filter audiences by the properties of your events. For instance, the event of login, okay, could have a property. Which type of login are you logging with? Like Facebook, Google sign-in, user password. And for instance, you could make an audience by saying, okay, this audience is composed by all the people between 25 years old and 35 years old who live in Poland and have logged by Google sign-in. And then you could apply that audience to the three concepts that are on the right of the slide. Segmentation. In order to understand if your application is working fine or not, if it's successful or not, you will need to understand which users, which audiences are working better with a certain event. Maybe you can segment by the people who logged in, and you can segment that event by type of login. So it happens that nobody logs in your application with Facebook, but they do with Google sign-in. In the end, almost all the users of Android have a Gmail account. So this makes something interesting. Through analytics, you can tell if some features of your application are not being used. And in that case, you can remove them, or you can optimize them to make it work better. Once you have understood the value of segmentation on the individual level, a funnel, okay, it's several events put together. So you can know how many, like its name implies, how many users come with at the beginning and how many are at the end. Another example of the same. Imagine I have the classical application, and I have opens the app for the first time, then the user logs in, passes the tutorial, and likes a post. Okay. So of the 100% of the people who opens the app for the first time, let's say just the 80% ends up logging in, creating an account. And then of this 80%, only 50% passes the tutorial. And in the end, just 20% ends up performing the action you want them to perform. So maybe you have a big drop of users on the tutorial. Maybe that is telling you that the tutorial is too long, or maybe the users that do not understand what's the application really for, and they remove the application, they uninstall it. And it can help you pinpoint where things are going wrong, even in a technical level. Maybe they don't pass the tutorial because the tutorial crashes. And you can get this information even before looking at Crashlytics or error crash reporting. And it is true that sometimes my boss in Chiquissimo, the CEO, who is really into analytics, sometimes have told me that something is wrong with the application even before I notice it by looking at Crashlytics, because he has all this information almost in real time. And once you know the segmentation and the funneling concepts, the final drive of analytics is retaining your users, make them stay in your app. And how do you do that? Well, it varies from app to app. For instance, I was recently on a growth event with the European Growth Director of Waze. You know Waze, the application. So he told them that his level of retention, a level of retention is something, a situation that makes the user stay in your app, that makes them become power user. This growth director of Waze told us that the level of retention of Waze is 5 trips. If you make 5 trips with Waze, the likelihood of leaving the app decreases exponentially. In the case of Chiquissimo, we have what we call the 7 minutes war. When a user downloads Chiquissimo and installs the app, if the user performs a saves a look, okay? In Chiquissimo there are looks and there can be save in albums, which are like playlists of looks. If we get the user to save a look, the likelihood of them staying on Chiquissimo for a long time increases tenfold, from 7% to 70%. And that's a lot. And you have to know it. And the only way to know it is by using an analytics system like Firebase Analytics or Mixpanel or Seminals. And that's our level of retention. Using analytics, and this is not an easy task, by using analytics, you can know what drives your users to stay in your app. And the more they stay, the better your business are. Because whatever is your business model, they are more bound to spend money of it, maybe on in-app purchases or buying the paid version of your app. And this is something that even us technical profiles have to know. Another way to monitor how's faring your application in real life is obviously Firebase crash reporting. Firebase crash reporting is nothing more like a service like Crashlytics, but it is integrated with Firebase 2 and probably with Test Cloud Lab, which is another part of Firebase, which won't be discussing today, but it's related to run UI tests with Espresso on real devices and emulated devices. And recently they released Robot Test Lab, which is kind of a monkey testing. It's really cool. I can tell you later about it. I've been using Crashlytics for a long time, and now we have both. Just to test, and I kind of liked it. Actually, I prefer the way Firebase crash reporting merges the crashes. The UI is a little sluggish. I don't like it that much. And in general, you can do what you could do with Crashlytics. In that sense, there's not much more to offer. You can filter by version, by fatal errors, non-fatal errors. Here it seems that we have some issue, which I already corrected, of course. And there's not much more to tell about Firebase crash reporting, just that still the crashes arrive a little later, like 1 to 3 hours after appearing. That is something I don't like much. But hopefully they will keep developing and improving the information. Shit happens. But now we have another tool. We've talked about monitoring, but how about optimizing? You can do optimizing by using Firebase remote config. Firebase remote config is the tool that Firebase has to perform A/B testing. And A/B testing, it's a way to simultaneously test more than one solution to a problem in your app without having to release. Let's put it this way. Imagine you have a couple of good solutions for a problem, for maybe a screen, and you don't know which one will perform better, which will make the users stay and make them purchase more or whatever you are interested to. So if you didn't have Firebase remote config or any A/B testing framework, what you would have to do is to release a new version of the application with solution A. And then once you've tested how it works by using your analytics framework, then you will need to do another release and test the new solution and check which one of the two works better. And imagine it's the first one. Then you have to roll back all the changes and release a third new version of the application with the previous solution. And this can be done in runtime thanks to Firebase remote config. Firebase remote config, the only thing that does is to configure several values, which you can again slice by audiences. So you can target different kind of users, ranging from a random percentage of them to more specific queries. Like I told you, I want to query all women in Spain who was in the application the last day. And in those girls, I show them the solution B, and on the rest of them, I show them the solution A. And you can do it without releasing. This means that some of them with the same APK will be shown version A, and another will be shown version B. This can be extended to any number of different solutions you want at the same time. It doesn't have to be between 1 and 2. And something I use for remote config in Chiquissimo is to also do feature disabling and feature throttling. So imagine that you have this new cool feature, but you don't know how well it will scale. So you start releasing the application, but with the feature deactivated. And you go increasing the percentage by using remote config slowly. But you found a critical crash. You can turn it off immediately, and all the users will have this feature working. Let's hope it is a little demo about feature disabling. Okay, imagine this is our application. If it wants to load, please load. Well, I know a couple of good jokes while this loads. Okay. So let's see that, well, it seems a little blurry, but you have like Google sign-in, and you have a normal sign-in in your application. So it happens I found a bug, and I turn off Google sign-in. I publish the changes. It's really blurry. But it's OK. So I killed the app, OK, because I haven't put any ways to auto-update this thing. And once I pull up the app, the button is gone. You can do this. This is just an idea, but you can do it with anything you might think about. Also, remote config is network efficient, and it runs a cache, so you can the system is not continuously downloading the elements. Also, by using Firebase Cloud Messaging, which I have another talk about this, which lasts for another 45 minutes, you could also order by a silent push to disable that feature. It doesn't need to wait to reload the application. By using a silent push, you can force the clients to turn off the application. OK, And we have found a way to test several solutions to try to optimize our application with a minimal effort. And now let's talk about some things that may allow you to grow your user base. The first one is Firebase Invites. Firebase Invites is a very simple way of the dream of many PMs I had in the past who wanted me to do an in-house inviting system between users. And Firebase App Invites, which comes already from a previous version of Google Play Services, already gives you this for free and full of charge. You can notify your friends by email, free of charge, or by SMS, which depends on your carrier. And you will receive an invitation to download the app with a payload, with a div link, the one you want to see, choose. And you can also customize some things. We will see it on a minute on the looks. You can customize the screen because it's like a text, you know, with a picture and an install button. You can customize the install button text. You can customize the text of the invitation, and you can customize the picture, but you can also do like some kind of HTML formatted invitation, totally customized. And how does it work? Well, when I send my friend Mary the invitation, can happen two things: that she has the application installed or not. If she has the application installed, the application will open, and you will be able to process that div link that is embedded into the application, into the invitation payload, to show her, in this case, some custom UX around the link that I sent her, in order to provide some context. If in the case that the application is not installed, she will be prompted to download it from the correct app store in Apple or Play Store in Android. And then once she installed, she will receive in the payload of the application the div link you sent her. So you can do some kind of peer-to-peer recommendation system like Airbnb has, like Hotel Tonight, this kind of, you know, get some free money by inviting your friends. And also it's a good onboarding for the user, because you are giving him or her a more familiar environment, because you can make that div link. For instance, in Chiquissimo, I sent a div link with the ID of the user who invited them. I had it turned off at the moment, but because of product reasons. But when it was enabled, the login screen showed me that Saúl has invited you to use Chiquissimo, and maybe you can win some discount for clothes, whatever. But even more, by using, for instance, two of the things we explained together, remote config and Firebase Invites, I can customize the invitation by targeting, for instance, for country. Imagine that I am a user from Poland, and I have this application about recipes, and I send to my friend Justina an invitation to use my app. So by using remote config and slicing by country, instead of sending a random invitation with God knows what, I send them a delicious pierogi, I think it's pronounced that way, pierogi cooking, and I customize the invitation to be in Polish. But as I'm Spanish, I send my friend Sergio an invitation to use my app, and instead of sending him a pierogi, who probably doesn't know what it is, I send him a nice, that is called rice with things in Spain. It's actually not a paella. But if I was in Sweden, I can filter it to send him a delicious kanelbulle recipe. And this is only an example of what you can do by using all the things that I have told you about. Oops, there you go. Dynamic links, it's really the things that drive app invites. It's a way to share links with other users, which will make work as you expected, which is that if you don't have the application, you will be sent to the correct App Store, and if the user has the application, it will bundle the deep link with the contextual information you want the user to see. And it looks something like this. There's a lot of, of query parameters that you can customize, like the Android package, the Android version, the URL with the Android app, the same for iOS, the same for iPad. So in the end, you get like this never-ending link, which once you make you jump out of a window. So I hope in the future they make an URL shortener or something like that. But there's already a shortener for like campaign links, okay, but not for generating ad hoc links. But for instance, you could make a small system that generates this kind of URLs, for instance, on share time, when you share maybe one object model of your application, like, I don't know, in the case a user or a post or whatever, you can build one of those links on the fly, and you will ensure that the users will be sent to the App Store if they don't have the application, or will be open on the correct app. I think there's ultra long links are having problems with iOS. I hope they fix it soon. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Firebase app indexing. It is something which is really useful for us for getting installs, and it's something that users, developers, don't understand quite often. How does app indexing works? Well, imagine we have this web content in a classic web page, like whatever, and we have an app content. The classic use case is that this web content gets indexed by the Google search crawler, and when a random user searches for this content, Google search outputs those results to it. And it is fine, it was working well. But when you get app indexing into the mix, the only thing you do is to say to Google App Indexing, hey, this web content corresponds to this deep link, which doesn't need to be an HTTPS kind deep link. It can be a custom schema or a proprietary schema, whatever. So what app indexing does is to make this identification. So when the user gets into mobile and searches for this content, it will be redirected through the deep link to the app. You cannot read properly here, but it says here opening chiquissimo.s. Okay, chiquissimo would be this will open it on Chrome, but clicking here, okay, which says app chiquissimo, will redirect you through a deep link to your application. Obviously, the part where you handle deep links properly, it's up to you, okay? But this gives you even more interesting features. For instance, if you're using Chrome and Android and you don't and the system detects that you don't have the app installed, instead of showing you the result, it will show you this kind of card with information about your Play Store application and a button to install it. And in the case of Google search inside your phone, it will start indexing your content. By the way, with Chiquissimo, I get the 5% of daily installs of Chiquissimo comes from this way. And the good thing is that this benefits from your SEO. So if the better your SEO are, the better the links appear on the top of the search. Will make more users have this install button, and more users you will be able to attract on your daily basis. And that's all. Some final thoughts. Too short. Firebase as a framework, it is fine because it will have something that no other framework will have. Which is a perfect integration, not right now maybe, but probably in the coming months, with all the Google systems, especially Google Developer Console, where you can already see pre-launch report from your test Cloud Test Lab devices. And not sure if you noticed, if you open this week the dashboard of the Google Play console, but it is the part of statistics suddenly started resembling Firebase dashboard, and it made me suspicious, you know. And in the end, the integration will be nice. It is still a little green, especially compared to their competitors, but it is supposed to be improving on the future. For instance, we are using Google Analytics together with a few different other SDKs for analytics, because we read different things on different frameworks. If you have some time to spare, I think it's not costly to have another analytics system set up, especially if you have it. You have applied a little clean architecture over your analytics systems in your code. And everything I've told you today about it's free. It's completely free. It's not in the paid tier of Firebase. Firebase, the paid tier, it's about the right now. I think it's on the remote Firebase, on the remote database, sorry, and the storage. And I'm not sure if it's the hosting, but analytics, Firebase config, Firebase crash reporting, app indexing, invites, and dynamic links are free of charge with no limits for you to use. And like I said, they are really, really, really easy to integrate. So if you want to have a look at them, I think you will find that some of the things that might take you a lot of time to work in-house are already there, and it will be improving. And that's all for today. I hope you liked it. And if you have any questions, I will be more than glad to answer them. I actually have some stickers, muffins, cups. I'm actually doing retail here, not only a talk. So, any questions?
Okay. First of all, thanks for the great talk.
My pleasure.
The question is, do you in your company also have the iOS app, and if you also use this Firebase, because you said a lot of integration with Google platforms, and
yeah.
How does it work with iOS?
Actually, we are running on Android as a testbed. We have everything I told you about and Firebase Cloud Messaging working in production since I think August or July. You can integrate some of the things. For instance, invitations are working fine. What else? Dynamic links. I heard we are using another framework. We are using actually Branch, I think it's named, but I want to move to dynamic links. Obviously, you cannot the integration about. I mean the products themselves have an implementation for iOS. Okay, that's perfectly fine. But the bonus you're going to get with Android is that Android controls the whole ecosystem and controls the tools. And he can cross your information with AdMob, like I said, for analytics, for audiences. It can be integrated inside the Google Play dashboard. Probably in the future you will see reports about crashes, and everything will come through crash reporting. Analytics information will come. So yes, obviously it's not going to be as well integrated in iOS as in Android. But most of the I wouldn't put my hand on the fire. But most of the things I've used, they have a pod, a Cocoa pod for iOS, and it is supposed to work. Obviously, some bugs might arise depending on the SDK. I'm not sure. Well, you can choose. You want a muffin, a sticker, a cup? Everything?
Not sure. I will just come later.
Okay, you're more than welcome. Yes.
Okay, I have a small question. You showed invites that when you invite someone and he has an app installed, it will show some content related with the invite. And if he doesn't have an app installed, it will redirect to Google Play.
Yeah.
And then app is installed and it also shows the correct content. How does it work?
When you open the app for the first time in the intent, okay, let's talk about a little Android here. In the intent, you will receive, you are supposed to receive on the broadcast receiver for installation the deep link. And actually, I use deep links, but I think I might be wrong, but I don't think so. You can put more complex information there rather than a deep link. You can actually put like some other payload, but I'm just using a deep link, like http chiquisimo.com/invite/shepherd. So I analyze that that deep link on compile time. I extract it through Google Play Services utility, and once I get the deep link, I just process it. And it's in the case of Shepherd, which is my username, it allows me to go fetch the user and show a more customized experience. That doesn't mean that you always have to show the user. You can show whatever you want. The limit is what you can think of. I'm just giving you like random ideas that I got, like using remote config to customize the invite text and things like that. But if you can think of something amazing, even better than you do, you're more than welcome, and probably present it on the GDG UTS whenever you're welcome. The thing is that there's a lot to explore, and I'm just giving you a random idea, but you can do probably better. Yeah. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
What do you know about instant apps? Is it going to get integrated into Firebase? Do you know when it's
right now it's a separated thing. I'm not even sure that it's the same. They've been running from the same team. From my I mean, it's a wild guess, but something I've seen. It's with Google App, with app indexing. There's like this tool on the Search Console to test it, okay? And Chiquisimo is a login forced application. I mean, you cannot use it if you don't log in. So I tested it through a production APK, which requires logging, and the results from app indexing show me the precise screen that it was supposed to be shown. And this is black magic, which I don't...
How is it happening?
I don't know, but they do it. So probably app indexing, instant apps, the technology behind that, I think it's something related to instant apps.
Thank you.
But right now it's on a separate part. I don't know if, I don't know, I mean, I have no insider information. I know they are developing things, they are going to release new things, they are going to improve what there is. But right now, as far as I know, Instant Apps team, it's from the search team, I think, and Firebase is from the Firebase team. Nothing else? Okay, thank you very much.